Hi, Pratik. Thank you so much for joining us on Blitz Business. It's a pleasure to have you.
Thank you for having us over.
Okay, awesome. Let's get started. So, Pratik, tell us a little bit about yourself before we jump into the start.
Well, I've done my master's in finance from UIUC back in 2011. Briefly worked for Jones Lang LaSalle as a part of strategic consulting team for a couple of years, 2 years from 2012 to 14, and then joined my family business, which was into real estate development from 2014 to 17, and then briefly was looking at multiple opportunities in clean tech, solar, and electric mobility and batteries. So happened to come across this, and that is how Neuron has been founded, and our journey took off.
So, any sort of idea, inspiration, people have कुछ story रहती है कि भाई ऐसा हुआ, idea आया या I was sitting at a bar, ऐसा कुछ story?
We happened to meet a gentleman who was into EV batteries back in the day, who was actually into lead acid batteries for forklifts, pallet pickers, and golf carts. So that's how we got introduced to the world of batteries. And then we did extensive market research, which made us realize that there is a huge scope for the next 10 years in the EV battery space. And that's how we started working on the EV batteries and moved on from.
So, Pratik, tell us a little bit about the battery current situation in Indian context. So, I assume these are mostly manufacturing is not yet established, correct?
No, it was just beginning in uh, 2017-18 when we started. There were around 6 to 7,000 electric two-wheelers in India, and e-rickshaws had picked up to an extent. There must be around a lakhish to e-rickshaws in India back then, and slowly that has caught up. Today we have more than 25 to 30 lakh electric
E-rickshaw.
two-wheelers as we speak, and quarterly around 3 lakh electric two-wheelers are being added every quarter. So around 10 to 12 lakh electric two-wheelers as we speak are being added. Electric three-wheelers has seen significant growth. There are more than 50 lakh electric three-wheelers in India today, and around 3,600 odd vehicles are being added in the electric four-wheeler space. So the mobility space per se is picked up well. Penetration has been increasing significantly, and there's been a significant government push to ensure that this is executed.
So, Pratik, from your perspective, so you are providing batteries. What all sort of product services you have?
We are providing batteries for electric mobility right now, and we will
Uh-huh.
be adding electric batteries for energy storage systems. So that is a segment that will be added soon.
So these batteries you're procuring from China, assembling like
No, no, we
what
have
is the
our own.
supply? How does the supply chain look like?
So we have our R&D team which designs battery packs for electric two-wheelers, three-wheelers, mobility space, and energy storage systems. But these batteries have been, the cells are procured, raw material is procured from China. Today, cell manufacturing in India is very nascent, and so 4 or 5 companies have announced that they will start cell manufacturing in India soon. So cells have been manufactured in China, but the entire battery pack design, battery pack architecture per se has been designed by our team in India.
Understood. Understood. So then moving on, Pratik, in terms of this space has seen some disruption happening with some cab aggregators in the news, electric ones especially. So does that impact your space? I recently had a guest who leased vehicles to one of these companies. So is that, I don't think so that impacts your space.
Not at all, because we are a battery pack manufacturer. So we supply our packs to 3 to 4 kinds of clients. One is an OEM client, which is an electric two-wheeler, three-wheeler, four-wheeler truck manufacturer per se. Second is a fleet operator, which owns a fleet, and we supply packs to them for their second life, third life. Third would be retail, where end user would want to change his battery. So via distribution network, we reach out to a rickshaw driver or a scooter owner where he wants to change the first battery that was given by the OEM to them. So these are the 3 point of sales. So for us, any fleet aggregator or any issues per se does not have any direct impact. Maybe indirect impact could be in terms of more vigilance when it comes to fundraise, etc.
And so let's try to understand the battery economics of this entire piece. So to begin with, what is a typical replacement cost for batteries and what is the lifeline?
So the battery cost has been reducing significantly. Earlier, the battery replacement used to be around 16 to 17 rupees per kilowatt hour. So 16 to 17 16 to 17,000 per kilowatt hour was used to be the price at which the battery was being sold. Now the cell prices have corrected significantly. So we are looking at the price of battery coming down in the market anywhere between 8,000 to 10,000 per kilowatt hour. And that has ensured that there is significant acceptance and adoption of battery packs as the delta between lithium-ion battery and an ICE vehicle with petrol diesel has virtually reduced. It's the same. Second, lithium-ion battery versus lead-acid battery. Lithium-ion battery is cheaper than lead-acid battery.
So what's the difference between lead and lithium ion, like in layman terms?
One is chemistry, second is energy density. So lithium ion is way more energy in terms of energy density. It's far higher than when it compares to lead acid. Secondly, it's a clean technology with electronics at play more. Like lead acid has a liquid acid flowing through it, so it's difficult to handle. Whereas this lithium ion battery is like a power bank per se. Power bank is also a lithium ion battery, so you can use it as plug and play.
Understood. So okay, so we were discussing in terms of from 16,000 to 8 to 10,000. So for example, like these scooters like Ather series, etc., they cost around a lakh or something, if I remember correctly, 110 or 120. So what is the battery cost in such sort of two-wheelers battery component? I assume it is quite high. That's what I can recall.
So the cost has been coming down. All manufacturers have been passing on the margins of reduction of cost to the end customer. All two-wheeler manufacturers, three-wheeler manufacturers have managed to pass on that cost, which helps all of them to increase their volume significantly. As India is a price-sensitive market, so the price point has to be matched. Now with EV scooters or EV three-wheelers, the price point of an electric vehicle is way closer to that of the petrol diesel.
But in terms of percentage wise, for like 100 rupees, for example, the battery component cost is how much? Like 20 rupees, 30 rupees,
40.
50%?
40 to 50 rupees would be the battery component cost.
Understood. Understood. Great. Then moving on, Pratik. So in terms of, have you guys raised any capital so far?
We have raised two rounds. The first round was raised in June 2023, which was led by Equanimity Investments. They invested 6 crores in that round. Along with Equanimity, Rajiv Dadlani Group and Chona Family Office invested. So we raised around 15 crore in total at a valuation of 60 crores back in 2023. We did a Series A round in 2024. This was our second round. In this round, we raised 25 crores. In this 25 crores, Chona Family Office invested 15 crores, Capri Global and Equanimity invested 5 crore each. We are in middle of the third round right now, which we are expecting to close. The second round was at a valuation of 205 crores. The third round we are expecting to close in June. We are expecting to close this round at a valuation of between 300 to 325 crores.
So typically, all this capital goes for your setting up the setup, or where is it exactly getting utilized?
We have a mix of debt and equity. Majority of the debt is being used for working capital requirements mainly. And when it comes to equity, equity has been used carefully for ICAD NATRAC certifications and now factory setup. So we are setting up one of the largest factories in India at Chakan, Pune, and this will be operational from July 2025. So currently, the round that we are raising, a significant chunk of that money is going towards the factory.
And you mentioned working capital. So is it like the payment terms are sort of you have to supply first and then there is a sort of a credit cycle, or
It depends on the OEM. If you are doing retail, it's a cash and carry. If it's fleet aggregation, it's cash and carry. And if it is OEMs, then there is a 15 to 30-day credit cycle that rotates with most of the two-wheeler or three-wheeler manufacturers.
so what is the biggest challenge, Pratik, for you in this business as of now? I mean, challenges sort of keep shifting shape and form, but as of now,
Two challenges. One is SCM, managing supply chain as we scale up is really challenging. And second significant challenge would be that of service network. So the technology is fairly new. So building the service network pan India would be a significant challenge. And technology also is evolving as we speak. So we have to ensure that our service centers are robust and they do not die out with the technology per se. So if there is a change in technology from lithium to sodium to anything else, service centers should be capable to be upgraded to any of the technology. So that is one area of concern and one challenge that we look at. And second would be supply chain, considering we still rely on cell imports from Korea, China, Vietnam, or Europe.
So sodium, I'm hearing first time. So that is also up in the horizon in this space, sodium based.
We have tested sodium ion batteries already and deployed around 50 of them in the field. And we are testing as we speak their performance, etc. We are looking to be the first ones to get sodium ion approval as well from Natrax. And second technology that we feel is picking up a solid state battery, which is coming up in a significant.
And how did you figure this sodium piece? So you have an R&D team or you?
Yeah, we have a 20 people R&D team which runs various projects for enhancement of technology. So that there are three primary objectives that the R&D team does. One is improving the current design, so moving from Gen 1 to Gen 2 to Gen 3, etc. That is one. Second aspect is adding four different applications, like moving from two-wheeler to three-wheeler to four-wheelers, bus trucks. That is the standard application matrix in electric mobility space. And second would be in energy storage system, improving our application base from solar telecom, which is currently there, to UPS inverter to energy storage system to BESS.
And you think the significant, I mean, India is showing more in terms of two-wheelers, the scale. What's the reason four-wheelers have not picked up so much compared to two-wheelers?
So charging infrastructure was predominantly focused within city in the first phase of mobility growth. So you saw a lot of last mile mobility segments being converted faster. So you see low speed rickshaws in UP, Bihar, Jharkhand, Delhi, NCR, West Bengal being converted because there used to be totos or pedal rickshaws there which used to run. So they automatically got converted to electric rickshaws. Now in the next phase, we are seeing autos, etc., being converted from CNG, petrol, diesel to electric. So that has already started coming up. Third, we are looking at two-wheelers again being a very last mile mobility or within city mobility division. We do not use two-wheelers or three-wheelers to do intercity. So predominantly within city transportation was the first focus, including buses. You see majority of the buses within cities have moved to electric, and majority of the MCDs across the country are ensuring that most state transport buses are electric. Now in the next phase, we will see infrastructure being developed across state highways, national highways, expressways, which will enhance growth of four-wheeler EV space. Earlier, there was one company offering 5 to 10 models in the EV space. Now you are seeing 6 to 7 companies jumping in with their EV models. So we are expecting the EV penetration to rise up significantly.
And while you were speaking, and one thing came to mind. So monsoon has started kicking in different parts, Delhi, NCR, etc. So what is the impact of let's say severe monsoon over the battery? I mean, do you have some sort of idea, stats, some tests? How does it hold up, etc.?
I mean, it has an impact on the climate for sure. The more you move towards mobility, the lesser would be the pollution, as diesel and petrol will not be,
But isn't there a counter to it? For example, because the mines from which it comes, I mean, it's just carbon shifting from one region to other, right?
not really. Today, the mines are across the globe. That is one. Second is when we make a lithium ion battery, there is no emission per se except heat generation. So there is no gas emission that happens even in the factory. In fact, Pollution Control Board gives lithium ion battery orange or green certification. Green is the standard that you get. It's not even red zone. Third, when it comes to cell manufacturing, today India is dependent on thermal power to an extent, yes, but we are seeing a significant shift from thermal to solar. As we see the percentage moving more and more towards solar, we are expecting that power generation will also become cleaner. So today I think solar is somewhere around 25 to 30%. We expect that to grow significantly, and our dependence on thermal power will reduce. Even at the thermal power where the production is happening, government is working on uh, various applications which will ensure that the smoke that comes out is a cleaner smoke, or there are various NOx filters that are being developed to ensure that pollution is controlled.
Yeah, that's true. Energy source is a key concern, but also in terms of, I'm sure you must have seen the recent news was it in Portugal, where the grid became unstable because it was not able to, even the clean energy sources are getting built up. The grid was not able to handle the load, or in California, wherein power outages happen, they were fully, or whatever percentage was on the green side. So, those are also the challenges which needs to be.
Yes, so there is an application where battery as a battery energy storage solution is come up. So BESS is a significant setup that we are looking at, and a battery application where we will be giving a battery in a containerized form with liquid cooling setup to our customer. In this setup, the important thing is that today what happens is majority of the solar power plants are on grid, so they consume power and feed it to the grid. The grid is fairly power surplus during the day, and it is power deficit during the night, and the peak load that we all consume is during the night rather than the day. So there is a deficit at night, and so there is this dichotomy that needs to be solved. So battery energy solution has come up in a significant manner where during the day the battery will store the power from the solar power plant and it will feed it to the grid at night. So this will ensure that eventually in 5 to 10 years we hit grid neutrality, where surplus power can be sold to areas where there is power deficit.
Right. And so being in, I think you mentioned you were in finance, right?
Yes.
So how did you acquire so much depth in this?
Yeah, it's been 7 years now in the industry, so it's predominantly hands-on knowledge that we have acquired over time.
Yeah,
And it's also a field that is evolving as we go.
yeah.
So there is nothing that says that, okay, this is the textbook to electric mobility or energy storage system, and this is how it will evolve. So we are all learning on the go, and I think we'll keep learning for the next 5-10 years as new technology and new applications keep coming.
And one thing is, what made you switch from real estate to such a technically complex, evolving space? Like real estate, like it's a pretty like standard, right? You have to do this. The model is pretty much defined, everything. So
The real estate as a business is wonderful in India, but it will age out. So if you see, real estate is not really a business in developed countries in US, UK, France, Germany, where cities are predominantly built and you see small suburbs coming up. So it's a good business in emerging countries where you're developing the cities, the infrastructure, etc. But I think it was a fabulous business to be in 70s, 80s, where really tier 1 cities were being built in India. Having said that, now I think tier 2, tier 3, tier 4 are also significantly built. So the scope that real estate will give will be very local and it will be very measured compared to a technology business or a complex supply chain global business where you develop different products and build it out. Today the market has just begun for mobility. Once the market is large enough, there will be enough space to grow each business or each division into a multi-billion dollar entity.
that was a
That
quite a.
scale, I don't think real estate would provide. It's not really strategic, I would say. I was looking at clean tech, solar, something, and this accidentally came across, and we happened to jump into this.
And Pratik, do you think real estate is just a fascinating area? So, do you think we have excess inventory as of now?
Real estate, I think in Bombay it's doing well. I would not be able to comment on other cities, but in Bombay right now, in the last 2 to 3 years, it's been doing fairly well. I
And
think
what?
the supply that came in from 2012 to 2020 has been consumed significantly, and I think today it's at a much better place than it was 5 years ago.
And what about these things wherein the projects is getting launched and within 1 hour, 24 hours, it's sold? Such sort of claims are coming in.
Sales are definitely happening in majority of the
Yeah.
projects.
Oh, really?
Yes.
It's not the dealer booking it and flipping it around.
No, no,
That's not the case.
no, not at all.
Okay. All right, understood. So then moving on, Pratik, so what are the plans for you for your company now? You mentioned you're currently raising and
We are raising some capital right now as we speak, and I think we should conclude this round soon by June or July. Once we conclude this round, we will move on to launching our factory in the month of July, which will be commissioned in June. We'll start full production in July. So this year we'll have 9 months of production coming from the new factory. So that is our immediate aim, and the long term, medium term, long term goal is to build. Uh, the majority of the revenues today are coming from mobility segment. So we are expecting in medium term 30 to 40% of the revenues to come from energy storage system and 40 to 60 coming from mobility. And from there, in by 2030, we have plans where the exposure to mobility and energy storage system would be 50-50.
And Pratik, what are the margin looks like in terms of storage versus the mobility space, like which has more fancy
Its
margin?
gross margins are anywhere between 16 to 20% right now. There was significant margin pressure as you are trying to push a technology onto people, and there is price pressure there. As existing technologies that, although they are polluting technologies, but existing technologies are delivering a product at a certain price point. Keeping that in mind, of course, there is certain level of pressure on us to match that. But as we commoditize the cells more and as the penetration increases, we expect the gross margin to touch 30% in the next 3 to 4 years.
Understood. So one question we keep getting from listeners is, if someone now wants to start in this space, what will be your suggestion, idea, or where do you see the use? So you have been in this space for 7 years. Where do you see there is an opportunity for other peoples to come in? Maybe you don't want to try, or maybe you also want to try something, if you like to share.
I think opportunity batteries per se is many people have entered, many companies have entered in the battery space, and there are corporates, there are traditional pedigree companies, there are startups. It's a vibrant ecosystem that we have today. So a newcomer would find it really challenging to enter the space, build everything from scratch and move from there. An existing auto component player might find it slightly easier as they might have those relationships with larger OEMs, which also move to EV. Having said that, EV ecosystem is fairly huge. So it's not only batteries, it's batteries, powertrain, vehicle clusters, motors, controllers, financing. EV financing is coming up well. IoT, fintech space, technology, and recycling. So I think there is gambit of activities happening around the EV ecosystem. I feel that in from now to next 10 years, recycling offers a very good opportunity for new players to enter, as we will see the first Gen 1 lithium-ion batteries that were sold will be coming out or coming back now for replacement, and that is where demand for recycling will kick in. So recycling is well poised in the next 5 years if someone is looking to enter the EV industry.
Are there any existing big players in this space for
Yeah, there are a
recycling?
couple of them which are doing well, but they have some global exposure. It's not mainly domestic. So I feel that domestic critical mass to run a factory will come in now for recycling business.
And any reason, just one question came to my mind, Pratik, you have not entered into the four-wheeler space?
Currently, we were holding back in last mile delivery for two-wheeler and three-wheeler. Now, with the new plant that we are setting up, we will be addressing the four.
Okay, so it was more of like a capacity constraint issue to not
Not really
enter.
capacity constraint issue. We have to design the entire premise in such a manner that it can support four-wheeler production or production for batteries for bus and trucks. So in phase one, we are mainly focused on the lower voltage battery packs, that is two-wheelers and three-wheelers. Now we'll be going into the four-wheeler bus and truck segment. So the infrastructure needs to evolve or upgrade accordingly based on the needs of the customers.
Understood. Wonderful, wonderful. Thanks a ton, Pratik, for your time. It was great talking to you. Such a fascinating space it is, and you have great knowledge in this space. So it was very refreshing to understand how things are shaping up. Anything you would like to share from your
No,
side?
it was wonderful chatting with you and sharing whatever we have learned so far with everyone. So thank you for having me over, and happy to connect again whenever.
Wonderful. I think we'll pull you in when you raise your next round.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.